7 free. That's 1-800-747-3733. Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Yes, indeed. Saturday morning. Thank you very much for finding your way once again for 2 hours of infotainment. That's what we strive to bring you every Saturday for, well, over a decade now. Great to have you with us, whether you're tuning in 92.1 or 101.7, good old terrestrial radio on Real Radio. Thank you very much. Your download of your iHeartRadio app, that's a free download, and that makes us worldwide. You could be anywhere on the planet, maybe even heading to Mars listening. I don't know. Verify. If you are heading to Mars right now, give us a call. 877-927-6969. And we go live on 2 streaming platforms on the internet. Your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your PC. Find us on Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Good morning to everybody joining us out the gates. And on YouTube. That's Florida Talk Real Estate, LLC on YouTube. Also streaming live. Thank you for joining us out the gates. I'm your boy, Johnny C., Air Traffic Control. Again, great to have you with us every Saturday morning for Florida Talk Real Estate. Let's go ahead and get your starting lineup on this Saturday morning. It's nice to say good morning to my friend, your friend. It's the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm, Mike Rauch. Good morning, my friend. How are you, buddy?
Well, good morning, Johnny C. Doing great this morning. How are you? I like that introduction. Your friend, my friend.
That's right.
Love it.
The mortgage guy from the mortgage firm.
And you got me thinking celestial, galaxial. It's a little early for that, but thinking, yeah, you could probably hear us if you were on your way to Mars.
I'd like to think, especially with all the new Starlink satellites that went up, even just last night, right?
Are they beaming out as well?
I'm not sure yet, which is why we need a phone call. If you are headed to Mars, we'd love to know how it's coming in on the iHeartRadio today.
Is there anybody actually in space right now?
I don't know the answer to that. I think
the space station, right?
I don't know about do we have Americans on the space station? That's a good question. There's always somebody up there, right?
I feel like it's always got somebody in there.
Yeah. I don't know if we have Americans up there right now or not, though, but I guess it only makes sense that we do. You can inform us. It's a toll-free number. Literally about anything, everything. Questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. That's what it's really there for. But if you can educate us celestially today, 877-927-6969. Let's say good morning to my guy, your guy. I call him Jimmy D. That's Jim DePola. I've told you for years he runs a top-producing Keller Williams team. That team, the Florida Home Pros, y'all. Jimmy D, how you be?
Happy South Florida, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, got you, bud.
Yep.
Okay. That's cool. Hey, I'm a little bit of a space buff. I read a lot about that stuff all the time. And so the last I remember reading just a couple of weeks ago, some of the Americans did come back to Earth. They used the Russian guys, right? They used the cosmonauts.
Just the other day, right?
Yeah. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, to be honest with you, 3 weeks ago, maybe. Okay. And then if I'm not mistaken, Elon Musk's SpaceX, I think, went up there and attached to the space station for the first time or something. I think with people, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about the people part, but I know that the SpaceX is going up there because we have no way to get people to the space station right now because our program's been shut down for I don't even know how long. So we only can get
SpaceX is basically our program, right? I mean,
well, yeah, but it hasn't hauled people. So only the cosmonauts, only the Russian space program can get people to the space station. So United States has always been relying upon the Russians in order to get up there and come back for I think 8 years or 10 years now.
That's true, Jim. SpaceX has put a couple of capsules up there with manned flights.
Well, just recently is what's happened. So we're trying to get away. We're trying to become more independent again on it. And also the Russians are supposed to back out of the space station. There's the program was the agreement was supposed to last for a certain amount of time. And I think we're out like 2 to 3 years out. And then the Russians say they're not going to be involved in the space station anymore. They're going to set up something with the Chinese.
That's
So
the
that's what's going on with that.
It's hard to know exactly when you say the Russians. It's really the Russian who's saying some of this stuff,
Yes,
right?
the
Like,
one person. The one
it
person.
looks like there's 4 NASA astronauts and 3 probably Russians on there.
That makes sense. And
Oh,
there's
okay.
always Americans up there. There always have Americans up there because there's actually a dividing line in the space shuttle or the space station between the Russian side and the American side. And they're allowed to like go in, but it's kind of, it isn't just like anybody can go anywhere in there all the time,
It's
right?
back when you used to like split your room with your sibling
Yeah,
if you shared a
right.
room, right?
Like,
You just draw the
yeah,
tape down the middle.
Masking tape right down the middle of the
exactly.
carpet.
Hey,
Yeah.
this is your half. This is my half, right?
So anyway, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? It's funny. One of the things that's really funny is one time we were on the show, we were trying to do a community thing, and there was this scientist up in the Kennedy or Cape Canaveral, whatever, Cape Kennedy, and he created an app where you could follow around this satellite. And it was a really cool app, and it looked very real. So we were going to talk about it on the air. So I had the rocket scientist who created this app. I gave him the phone number and told him to call the show. So everybody that I booked to call the show that week called in, but not that guy. And I'm like, why didn't the guy call? He was like my favorite thing of all the people I wanted to call that day. Well, he sends me a nasty email after the show saying that I punked him and that I sent a phone number for a porn site.
Whoops.
Right? Because the 888, right? I mean the 877-927-6969. If you don't dial 877 and you dial some other number.
Yeah, you might get, hey, you want some hot man on man loving?
So he thought I was punking him and he was really mad. So I sent him a message back and I said, you called this number, correct? Right? And then he was like, oh. And I'm like, rocket science.
Science.
So anyway, I thought that was funny. So anytime I think of science, I think of that with what
It's not it's not brain surgery.
Yeah.
So you remember that? Have you seen that? It was, I don't know, I forget what it's from one of the comedy shows, but the guy's like, you should look it up. Look up brain surgery, rocket science. It's there's this guy who's at a party who's like a braggart, right? And he's like, oh, so what do you do? And Johnny's like, oh, I'm a radio DJ or whatever. He's like, oh, that sounds interesting, pretty tough. I mean, it's not brain surgery, right? And so he goes around the room mingling, and he always ends saying, oh, well, it's not brain surgery. And then and then a new guy walks in, he starts talking to him. He's like, well, what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm a surgeon. I operate on brains. So, or no, I'm sorry, the other way. I'm a scientist, right? I work for NASA. I operate on rockets or whatever. So the guy who's like, it's not brain surgery, you got trumped by the guy who says, oh, it's not rocket science, right? Anyway,
at this point,
I didn't do it service. It's funny. It's not real estate. That's right. Not this
point,
tricky
yeah.
market.
I wonder what the tougher career is at this point. Man, you guys are really getting put through the ringer in the last couple of years on every angle.
Yeah. Does that bring up anything you wanted to talk about today, Jim? Real estate related.
So yes, exactly. So
rocket science. Anything?
Yeah, we do have a lot to talk about. I wanted to talk a little bit more. We're going to talk about mortgage rates. We're going to talk about insurance, even though Ross couldn't make it today. We're going to talk about insurance. We're going to talk about migration in Florida, not the northern migration down here, which we talked about last week, but the migration in Florida, like from Florida to Florida, other parts of Florida. We're also going to talk about the luxury market. One of
what does that even mean anymore?
One of Ivana Trump's former mansions on Palm Beach Island just sold. And check this out. The price appreciation over the last 8 years. How much appreciation do you think now she doesn't own it anymore, but she owned it in 1992.
So what, from 2014?
Over the last 8 years, how much appreciation percentage-wise do you think her former mansion has grown? We're going to talk about that. You don't have to answer now, but we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the luxury market in general in South Florida. We're going to talk about a couple things. And we're also going to talk about effects of the low inventory, the super low inventory. We have it all across the country, but we have it really chronically here. We're probably one of the top spots for low inventory. in the country. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we got a lot of stuff going on with that. So let me see where I want to start first. Well, let's just start with the mortgage rates first, Mike, because you weren't on last week. Now, last week you should have been on because the interest rates only went actually from 5 point. Well, maybe I got this wrong. I think it went from 5.27 to 5.25 or something like that, right? So
no, it would
down
have
just
been
a little bit. But this week it
no.
went
It
up.
was 5.1 to 5.27.
Oh, last week?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're doing better because this week
Now
it
I'm
went
doing
from
better.
5.27 to 5.3.
Yeah, but we're keeping the streak alive. Actually, it's only the third week in a row with an increase. There was
because
one
we had
week,
that one week where we went from 5.11 to 5.10.
yeah, 1/100th of a reprieve. But
Yeah.
still creeping up on us. It's it seems like it's kind of leveling, and maybe so
Mhm.
with the anticipated result of the Fed movement. You know, it's kind of been baked in. I feel like it's been baked in for a little bit as far as like the market movers on this end. And so, you know, we'll see. Maybe it's leveling off. It's still kind of slowly creeping up a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is what I think. I still think that. Well, Mike, let me ask you this: the 5.3 that Freddie Mac says, right? Which, by the way, puts us into 2009. That's the last time that we had interest rates at 5.3 was 2009.
5.3 basically paying a point.
So
That's
it's
important.
really 6.3.
No, it's probably it, but closer to 6. So like probably that 1 point a fee would adjust your rate maybe a half a point, maybe 3/8, something like that. It's not like a you don't pay a point to buy the interest rate down 1%.
Right, but what I'm saying is like what is the average person with just average credit with not 20% down? What are they actually paying?
Yeah, I would say those
in
rates are
real
closer
time?
to 6.
Closer to 6%.
Yeah,
So
and
I
you say
think like
average credit. I mean, if you're on a conventional loan, you could be in the 6s easily with the wrong credit score.
yeah. So I think that we're going to be by the end of the year, and people are going to be paying in the 6s to the 7s by the end of the year is where I think is going to happen, and this is why. I'm going to tell you why. In my opinion, I mean, take it for what it's worth, which is probably nothing. But
I'm also wondering, Jim, if you have considered a new floor. You made a prediction about a floor several years back, and then the bottom fell out of
yep,
that floor.
that's
But
true. I
I'm
thought we would
curious if
never
you've got a new one.
we would never see a 2 again. Remember, we'd never see a 2 in starting in the interest rate, and then we got down to 2.65, which was the lowest ever again.
Oh my
So
God! I don't even remember you predicting that. I don't think anybody would predicted 2s in the front. Your floor I think was 4 or 5%, right, Johnny? What was it? You remember that?
I think that maybe it was a 4. Maybe I thought it was going to be 4 or higher. I think
Yeah.
maybe that's what it is, Mike. I thought
Yeah.
it was 2, but then we went down because of COVID. Then everything went down again, and
Right.
then and the reason why I was saying back then, Mike, is that Jerome Powell was 2018, 2019 when I made that prediction, and then Jerome Powell raised the interest rate something like, I don't know, 9 times or 10 times, and we got up to almost 2.5% for the Fed Reserve rate. Then COVID hit, and actually, a little bit before COVID, to be historically correct, he saw that the market wasn't overheating with inflation, so he started backing off on the interest rate rises. The reason why I think it's going to continue to go up this time, right now, it looks like he's poised for June to do another half point increase, because he said he was going to do 3 or 4 half point increases.
Right.
If he does another half point increase, Johnny, this is what I think. I think that even though that we've been told that it's going to happen, I still think it's going to be shocking, right, to the market, right? Because all those guys. This one wasn't as bad because they kind of expected the half point. But even when it happened, they made a big deal about it, and the interest rates continued to rise, even though they knew it was going to happen, because it was the first time that we had a half point increase since the year 2000.
Yeah, it's substantial.
Yeah. So if they do it again, I don't know the last time that they did 2 half-point increases. It might have been in 2000, but I'm not sure. So now they're going to go, wow, this has never happened before, or it hasn't happened in 25 years. And, and they'll make a big deal. And I think it's going to spook the market again. And I think it's going to pull it up. I don't think we're going to see it going down for a little bit.
Somehow we need to get in tune with, we just need to go back. It shouldn't be that hard. Go back to December, figure out who was predicting that rates would be approaching 6% in December. And then we listen to that person, right? Because I don't remember anybody predicting a 3-point increase in the span of the first quarter, right, of 2022.
That's a massive doomsdayer, right? If anybody was saying that, you're going, man,
you're crazy.
A little bit more optimistic than that.
Jim, we were definitely talking about rate increases. We were talking about what happens. I think we did a video and we said what happens when it goes from 3 to 4 or from 4 to 5. And in my brain, I was like 5 is really probably a stretch, right, to get there. And we got
the last week that we were off, 2 weeks ago, Mike, right? Because you weren't on last week. 2 weeks ago when we were off, I had to pick a rerun. So the rerun I picked was November 20th of last year. That's the show. If you go back and listen to the November 20th show, that's the show where the Feds were announcing that they're going to start raising rates this year. And all the national economists were predicting where we were going to end at the end of 2022. And the consensus was 80-something% of the economists said we'd end up at 3.7 by the end of the year, this year. And that the doomsdayers were 4.4. And I said on that show, they're all friggin' nuts. And that we're going to be well into the 5s. I said on that, I didn't say 6, but I said we're going to be well into the 5s. And let me tell you why. And I broke it down. And I said, this already happened in 2018. We're just repeating what happened in 2018. The markets are going to react the same. And exactly what happened in 2018 is happening right now. The only difference is that we didn't have inflation when we did it in 2018. Jerome Powell was raising the interest rates in 2018 because he was trying to get ahead to make sure that the market didn't overheat. But we weren't really in inflation yet. This time he waited for the inflation to be well entrenched before he acted. So that's the difference between the two markets. So based on that, that means the interest rates will get worse this time than in 2018.
Okay.
It's very clear to me. This is very clear. This market is so super clear to me.
So then if it has the intended effect of controlling inflation, like if you look at that chart from 2018, it started coming down, and this was pre-COVID, right? It basically peaked in 2018. I think it had something to do with was there a political cycle there? No, that was 2016. Trying to remember. I remember a spike, with the 2016 election.
Were we fighting over the passing the budget again? We were at risk of budget default at that point. Remember, because Congress was always fighting about the budget.
Yeah, or the spending limit, or
that's what I mean. Yeah, that kind of thing. Maybe.
No, but then it started to, it steadily went down in 2018. I'm looking at it through 2019, and then of course, beginning of 2020, well, March, we all know what happened then. But so are you predicting rates to come back down, or are you saying they're going to hold?
I think they're going to hold. Because of the inflationary pressures. We didn't really have the same inflationary pressures last time. This time we have real inflation. It's real, right? So I think that that's going to keep fueling the interest rates to go up. I don't know how high they're going to go. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're a 0.5 point to 3/4 point higher than we are now by the end of the year. I could see that. But I could also see a company staying pretty close to this, 5.5, 5.75, for the Freddie Mac rate. I could see that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember. I bought my first home, I think it was 1999-ish. And I was paying in the mid 6s. I think my rate was 6.25, 6.5, something like that.
Well, Mike, I know that you have very good credit, or you've all, at least from what I know you, I know your credit's been very good. My credit wasn't good when I bought my first house, and I was 1994, and my credit really was horrible. By then, I think I almost defaulted on my student loans. because I had missed so many payments, and I did not have good credit. And I remember buying my house, and my interest rate was 9.25%. And
you were probably doing a subprime, non-conforming.
No, it was an FHA loan. I did get an FHA.
Oh.
I don't know how it took me like 9 months to build up my credit. Remember that, Johnny? So I was there too. I did the same thing. But and I had this great mortgage broker that just walked me through the whole thing. That lady, I still remember her name, Cindy, way back in 1994, because she handheld me through the whole thing to get me my little loan. I paid $67,000 for my house, and anyway, I paid 9.25%. And then when I got a second mortgage a couple of years later for a pool, it was 12% for the second.
See, but timing and mindset is everything, right? So at that time, you're like thinking, hey, considering my circumstances, 9% is pretty good. Even with Mike at 99, like a 6% loan, you're like, I'm doing pretty good. Like this feels well. I remember growing up in the 80s, just being a kid, so not totally understanding, but hearing the numbers, the interest rates that people had for these. I lived in kind of Yuppieville, and man, we're talking about people that had deep pockets, and they had big money, and they still paid huge interest rates on their home loans. But the mindset was very different. The last 3, maybe 4 years, I don't know exactly when we started hitting that slide, but the mentality for buyers, future and or current, I think it's rooted in just the last handful of years. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get out of that, because again, the mentality prior to hitting these all-time lows, if you got a 5 or a 6%, like you were like, man, that's doing pretty good. Not bad.
It's definitely recent memory, whatever, past 12 years, right?
Well, that's why
something like that, where it's been below 5%.
Yeah, and
the last just chunky years though completely ruined people's real perspective, right?
Perception,
2%, 2.3%, whatever it was. Like,
listen, guys,
crazy town.
I am talking to people every day about rates, right? People who are either shopping, looking at numbers, or considering, locking in loans. And I think on the street, people, yes, they're like, oh, rates are there. Oh my God, but they have kind of accepted the reality of, number one, it's not in your control unless you're willing to throw money in, what am I saying? The mechanism of paying points, right? You can kind of control your rate that way. But I think people have come to realize, damn, I might have missed the boat on interest rates specifically, but it is what it is, right? That's the world we live in. The thing, Jim, with the prediction game is like, so if you're trying to predict what, I need to buy, when do I buy? Am I doing it now? Am I doing it 6 months from now? Am I doing it next year? What do you do? Like, that's a very, very difficult spot to be in, because you have to bank on housing prices cooling off, coming down. If you're predicting a crash on that would be an outlier. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do as for the prospective homeowner, other than to recommend, if you get into something that works for you now and is affordable and your income is stable, right? And you got all the things lined up, now is just as good a time as any.
That's what happened to me when I was paying 9.25%. It was very high interest rate then. People were probably in the high 6s with good credit. I was paying 2.5 points higher probably for whatever I did.
But you were in a payment you could afford.
I could afford it, and I decided it was worthwhile for me to do it. Now, other people said, "Oh, why don't you wait, build up your credit, blah blah blah." Well, I don't know if I would have ever cleaned up my credit until after I bought my house. Right, to be honest with you, because that's when I got way more serious about taking care of my bills.
And paying that mortgage every month really helps your credit too.
Exactly, right? And it also kind of makes you more disciplined about paying other things at the same time. At least it did for me, because I was pretty much a crazy guy, right? And then the other thing is that I'm glad I did it. I didn't, I bought the house. I saw it grow in equity over time. I was paying a higher interest rate than other people, but I could afford the payment, and my house was growing in equity all the time. It kept continuing to grow until we went to the bad market, right? Till the time we went through the crash. But even if I waited, if I owned that house from the time I bought it through the climb, then the crash, then back again, my house would have been worth like,
oh yeah,
let's see, it would have been worth like 600% more over the period of that time, right? It would have been like 600% increase in value over the time of that period. So, so if you could afford it, like Mike says, this is just reinforcing what Mike's saying. If you can afford it and it makes sense for you, you're not overreaching at the time, and you need a house, and it's a good time for you or your family to buy the house, you should go out and buy the house, because trying to predict what's going to happen in the future right now is pretty crazy. And the other thing is rental. The option is buy or rent, right? So rental market isn't anywhere near any more stable than the retail market to buy a home. The rental market's just as crazy as the retail market. So pick your poison. Yeah. At least with the retail market, you can control what's happening because you're the owner at the end. With the rental, you're at the whim of whatever the landlord or anybody else wants. Hey,
Jim, how many people have we talked to?
Mike, before I really want to continue with that, please hold it. But Natalie's been on hold. I want Natalie to come in because she's got an open house. I want to get there with that before the break.
All right, let's do that then. Natalie Medina Rauch out with some details on an open house today. Thanks for your patience, Natalie. Buenos dias. Welcome. You're on Florida Talk Real Estate.
Buenos dias, guys. How's everybody?
Buenos dias.
Awesome.
We're doing good. So,
everybody good?
Yep, we're all doing great. We're doing great. So your open house is starting a little earlier than normal, right? You're starting at 10 o'clock today?
Yes. Early bird. It's a good thing. So
it's from 10 to when?
So I'm going to start. There's going to be a lot of open houses in Royal Palm. So I want to be the first one. First choice. And, the buyer's going to fall in love with this house. And it's going to be 205 Dove Circle in Royal Palm Beach. This is at the Willows. The asking price is $470,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-car garage. It has a large backyard, and this house is completely renovated. It has impact windows with ceramic tinted windows as well. Also, it has tankless water heater and like a high-end appliances, stainless steel high-end appliances. And it has 12 cans, which do not convey. But if you're going to come, you're going to see the hands in the backyard. The AC is from 2020. Washer and dryer for 2021.
Nice.
And all the appliances are for 2019. The roof is from 2013, which is a wonderful thing. And it's 1,440 square feet.
Yep. And, one of the things I love about that house is, well, there's a couple of things. Number one, the renovation is so on point, isn't it, Natalie? The color schemes and the finishes they used. They have porcelain tile throughout the house, which makes it really easy to clean. It just looks crisp all the time. It's like a wood grain floor, but it's made out of porcelain tile, which is very high end. It has recessed lighting everywhere. The person that owns the house is a computer geek, so everything is like the lights are perfectly mapped out throughout all the house. He actually pointed that out to us. Also, Natalie mentioned that there's a tankless water heater. It's a gas water heater. It's like almost like a commercial grade gas water heater, which is awesome. And the house is hooked up to liquid propane, and it has a tank buried in the ground. So it's the dryer, the water heater, and the stove is all hooked up to gas, which is really nice. And the impact windows everywhere is nice. And it's a fenced-in backyard. And boy, is this backyard huge. Even if you decided to put a pool in, you'd still have tons of backyard space.
Nice. So what time's that open house? 10 until when?
It has from 10 to 12.
From 10 to 12. Okay, so that's 205 Dove, Dove, Circle in Royal Palm Beach. Natalie will be there from 10 to 12. Please check it out. If you want to find out more about it, all you got to do is go to our Facebook page, Florida Talk Real Estate, and you can go there and you can find some promotional posts and stuff about the property itself. Great neighborhood right next to the park. What's the name of that park, Johnny? I'm sorry. What's the name of that park?
I think it's Monticello, I think is the name of the park.
Isn't it funny? You drive by every day, you don't know the name of the park.
Yeah,
I don't
think
know
it's
either.
Monticello. Yeah, I don't pay attention, but I use the hell out of that park. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so
it's a great little neighborhood. I'm familiar with that neighborhood. I've spent about 8 years in that neighborhood. It is a good neighborhood, and I think that's a remarkable value for that home. I know what homes have sold I know what my neighbor's house sold with just the last couple of years and where they were at as far as updating. And it doesn't sound like they were nearly as updated as now they did put on a brand new roof prior to sale, but they didn't have all the other updates. So that sounds like a great price. I don't think that home's going to be on market long at all.
Yeah, this house, I think the renovation was all done in the last 3 years. So it's a 3-year kitchen, 3-year bathrooms, 3-year flooring. You know, the paint, it looks spotless in the house. It's so ready to go. The laundry room area, it was so big that the owners decided to turn it into an office. So they had an office to kind of run their business at home. So very, very cool house. Go check it out. Natalie, be there from 10 to 2. Natalie, can you do me a favor?
Yeah, I will do. Sell the house.
Sell that house.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Nicely done. Good luck out there, Natalie. Always nice to hear your voice. That's
Okay,
10
good
to
luck.
2 today, 205 Dove Circle. That's
Nice
a
to hear
Royal
your
Palm.
voice too, Johnny.
Oh, thank you, Natalie. I miss you, and I hope to hear a very successful showing today, 10 to 2 out there. Again, it's 205 Dove Circle, Royal Palm Beach. If you're not familiar, think of like where Royal Palm High is. You're going right into the Willows right there. That's Okeechobee and Wildcat is your intersection when you're heading west on Okeechobee Boulevard.
I will be live pretty soon on Facebook.
Okay.
Excellent.
So it's Natalie Medina Rauch on my Facebook page.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Natalie Medina Rauch, Rauch. Check it out. She'll be live on Facebook. That's awesome. Hey, Natalie, do me a favor also. Make sure that the lockbox has the key in the tray. Okay?
It is.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
Yes.
Natalie.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have fun.
Good luck out there. We got details on that open house on Florida Talk Real Estate Facebook page, Jimmy D.
Yes, we do. So you got to go to the Florida Talk Real Estate on our Facebook page. We don't have the YouTube video out on this one. Okay, so go to our Facebook page.
But yeah, if you're like, oh man, what was that address again? You can get it all the information. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, where we go live every Saturday. Thanks for being with us. Jim mentioned the YouTube page. That's Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube, where there is a ton of videos to consume, a lot of information, not only videos on properties that are available, but informative videos for you and your process, whether you're buying, selling, maybe you're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. You know, this team at Florida Talk Real Estate, we call it the one-stop real estate shop for a reason, because of the team that's assembled and the team that you have access to at floridatalkrealestate.com. They're experts in their field and they work cohesively together. So again, looking to buy a home, sell a home, somewhere in between. Maybe you're like, I don't know what to do. Rely on the expertise of the team of Florida Talk Real Estate. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. What do we got coming up next, Jimmy D?
We're going to talk a little bit about the insurance crisis. And yes, it is an insurance crisis, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the luxury market in South Florida. It's like all over the place, and there's some really interesting stuff. And I was hanging out in this one neighborhood in Boca where, listen to this, they're buying homes for over $1 million just so they can tear them down to build bigger $1 million homes. Can you imagine?
$1 million teardowns.
$1 million teardowns, and it's happening all over Palm Beach County. We're going to talk about one specific neighborhood about that.
Man, there are some deep pockets out there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
If you're looking to ask a question to a remarkable realtor, someone in the trenches every day, it's a good time. Jimmy D's with us every Saturday. Of course, if you have mortgage-related questions, Mike Rouse is with us today, so do not hesitate to pick up your phone and dial 877-927-6969. Jimothy, our producer extraordinaire, he'll line you up. If you call it right now, we'll get to your phone calls and count them up 4 minutes from now. Quick break. We're back at it on a Saturday. It's Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.
We'll be your friend. Follow us at Real Radio 92.1 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
It's going to be another beautiful afternoon here in South Florida. I'm CBS 12 Storm Track meteorologist Zach Kobe. Only a 20% chance of a stray shower storm as we continue throughout our day towards the evening hours. Daytime highs, hot today. Anywhere from the mid to upper 80s at the coast to the lower 90s inland.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is still just $5. Get a double stacked junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink. Grab your bag at Wendy's today. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
I'll say it again. It's that toll-free number, 877-927-6969. That is for you to dial. Should you have questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate and you'd like to join us during this 2-hour Infotainment Fest. We got plenty of time for you. We'll take you till 11 before we hand the baton to the locker room. Johnny C, well, that's me. Good morning, Mike Rauch, mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. How are you, my friend?
Yep, doing great this morning. Thank you.
Beautiful. Glad to hear it. And Jimmy D is muted temporarily, but he'll be off mute here in a second. He always is super busy, and that's because he runs the top producing Keller Williams team, y'all. That's the Florida Home Pros. Jimmy D, Jim DePolo. How you doing?
Good. Details, Mike. No, Mike.
Minor details. If you're not comfortable on air with us on the radio, I get it. Not everybody is. I'm not totally comfortable myself. Remember, you can reach out to the entire team, get answers to your questions, get a roadmap to what you're trying to get done. From Pros, your one-stop real estate shop. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. Or you can call the hotline. You'll find it at floridatalkrealestate.com. 888-973-7828.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the insurance stuff. We're going to go into more heavy-duty detail when we can get Ross Kamarinets from Brightway Insurance Juno Beach office, the only office for your insurance needs with Brightway Insurance. But we are definitely in an insurance crisis now. And when we talked about it last week, we mentioned how that there was a ratings agency that rates all the insurance companies that is recommending that the reinsurance industry not back the insurance policies written here in Florida in order to force the state legislators to pass regulations to protect the insurance industry, because we're supposed to have massive fraud compared to anywhere else in the country. I mean, massive fraud compared to anywhere else in the country. So they didn't do anything about this or the Sunny Isles building collapse stuff. So they've had it, and they're basically saying to the Florida politicians, you got to do something about this. Well, now they're doing town hall meetings across the state, and there was a town hall meeting in Melbourne, and I thought this was kind of interesting because some of the people are complaining right now. Like, there is a guy from Satellite Beach who says that his insurance bill for his house is $35,000 a year, and that's more than he pays per year for the mortgage on his house. And another person that was at the town hall meeting said that they basically can't afford their house anymore because of the insurance premiums. So they're selling the house because they can't afford the insurance. So
$35,000 a year.
Yeah. So, actually, Mike, that isn't that bad, right? Because that comes out to about $3,000 a month.
That's a lot. What do you mean?
Well,
insurance?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about something else. I'm sorry. I was thinking, I don't know. I was having a brain fart there. Thank you. My math brain is not working this morning.
Yeah, he's right.
That's like
3,000 a month.
1 month. Yeah. I'm sorry.
But it depends. Like there I would expect homes at a certain location and a certain price point to maybe have insurance that's up that at that level.
Coastline, high-end homes, right? I mean, is that the picture you're painting, Mike?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-million-dollar home,
on the beach,
in a flood zone on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah, on a barrier island or something, right?
Yeah. But I've seen, you'll see very expensive policies, Jim. Especially if you're coming down here to South Florida and you're used to bundling in your homeowners with your Geico policy or your Allstate or your State Farm. There's also, like, those guys, they don't really write homeowners down here in Florida, but I suppose if you're paying enough, they'll write you a policy, right? So I'll see, like, those people want to bundle and they're like, yeah, the homeowner insurance, $12,000 for the year, right? $15,000 for the year. Like, you're going to have a lot cheaper options, Johnny, probably one option with Citizens, right? But it's going to be a lot cheaper than those policies. So, but holy cow, 35,000.
So it's kind of interesting that we're at this point now where insurance. I just mentioned last week that I said the little bubble, if there is a bubble in the market right now, the bubble's going to be the landlords that can't afford, that aren't making enough. Like last week, I used the example of you're a landlord, you own a condo, and after the condo fees and all the other fees and everything, you're making like $100 to $300 a month profit, which I don't really feel is a lot of times worth holding on to the property if you're really looking for good rental property. But some people are like, my mortgage is being paid and all my costs are being paid, and I'll make a little bit of money every month. Well, with these increased insurance rates, that profit goes poof, and you're not really getting any benefit from that. And I think those are the people that we're going to force to sell. And now here's an article where people are complaining that they can't afford their house anymore because the insurance payments are too high. So this reminds me of why homestead was created. What people don't remember is why we have homestead exemptions in Florida. There was a period of time, and I wish I remember which decade that the homestead exemptions were put into place. But up to that point, we were seeing tremendous growth in property values throughout Florida during this big growth phase. And people were losing the houses that the family had built and owned for like 30, 40, 50 years, but they couldn't afford the house anymore because even though they might not even had a mortgage, they couldn't afford the property increases that were going up so fast because of the price values going up so high. So in order to stop people from losing their houses for taxes, they created the homestead exemption.
You remember what the bill was called, Jim?
No,
I don't have it in front of me, but it was
do
something like Save Our Homes. Right?
Yeah, it was called Save Our Homes. Thank you, Mike. That's right. It was called Save Our Homes, and that's why.
Save Our Homes legislation.
Mm-hmm.
I always found it funny. I mean, I guess whatever, it's pretty universal that your property tax is a percentage of the market value of the home, which always seemed weird to me. Like, why wouldn't it just be some sort of more fixed number? Why does it have to go up and down with market values when all you're doing is you bought it and you live in the home, right? Like, why does your tax have to slide so much? But yeah, homestead is a way to put a control on that, but they didn't change the mechanism, right? It's still reassessing the value of the home, applying a millage rate or a percentage to it, which I always found somewhat funny.
So so now we're going through this cycle where it isn't the property values increasing because we have that protection now, but now the insurance, everybody's just vulnerable because of this insurance stuff.
Yeah.
It's
not like you have the option of not having insurance unless you don't have a loan on your home, right? Then it's optional, right? Like you can decide not to insure your home unless you have a lien holder, right, who has an interest in making sure your home doesn't get destroyed down to nothing.
Absolutely. And this is happening real life, real time. What's happening here? This isn't just like fodder for news, right? Like there's a windstorm and one tree falls down. So every media is standing out by the one tree that falls down and nothing else happened around it, right? But they make it look like there is a big storm.
No, this is
a real storm.
You said that you have an article, right, where people are getting priced out of their payment because we talk about the fixing your, what do you call it, rent control, Jim, right? When you have the principal and interest, it's not going to change for the life of your loan, but the insurance does. And when the insurance is doubling, Johnny, in a year, so let's say you had a $3,000 a year policy and now it's $6,000, your payment has just gone up $250 a month, and some people simply cannot afford that.
Yeah, if you're that close, your margins are that close, you're absolutely right. That can make you in a position where you can't afford it versus now I got to figure out how I'm going to be able to make this nut.
Absolutely. And it's real life stuff that happens. I'm dealing with the family right now. Their mom passed recently, God bless her. And now the family's trying to deal with the property. Well, the property has a ton of equity in it. Okay. But the issue is that the insurance company has come out to survey the property, and they said that the roof is no good. They need some minor plumbing repairs, some electrical work, and also the family, it's like a 5-acre property, and the family let a neighbor put a whole bunch of potted plants in the backyard, like hundreds of potted plants in the backyard. And it's not being used as a nursery or anything. They're just keeping the plants there as a favor to the neighbor. And the insurance companies do not like that at all. So they've noticed the family that if these things aren't taken care of, the insurance policy is dumping them. and they're dumping them in a few days. And Mike, if an insurance company dumps you, one of two things, or possibly both things at the same time, will happen, right? From the mortgage perspective, because there's a mortgage on the property. Most likely, now I haven't read the mortgage for this particular family, but usually the mortgage requires that the house be insured, correct, Mike? That's part of the thing when you get the loan.
Yes.
And it has to be insured to a certain standard. It can't just be any kind of insurance, right?
Yeah, there's going to be minimum coverage requirements as far as the dwelling coverage, right? Like what it takes to replace the home in the event of a total loss. Yep.
Right.
Some might require. I got a letter from my mortgage company that any replacement insurance I had to have a certain rating. Like you say, there, it can be any company. They were insisting on certain ratings now, and I mean, price doesn't matter to them as long as the coverage is right.
Right. So what will happen is if the insurance company lapses the policy, they cancel the policy on the homeowner, which is very likely to happen in this case. One of two things, or maybe both things, can happen. The first thing is the insurance company could do what's called forced place insurance, where they just go out, the insurance company say, okay, you're not going to buy the insurance. Well, we're going to buy it for you. They don't really care about the price so much. And usually they hire a third party to handle this for them. They don't even do it themselves. And then the third party charges a fee. So a lot of times the forced place insurance could be 2 to 6 times the amount that you would get if you had taken care of it yourself, Mike.
Yeah, you'd mentioned they're buying it for you. They're not buying it for you. They're buying it for them. So actually the named insured, the person who is insured, or the entity that's insured, is the lender and not the homeowner at all. The homeowner doesn't have any protection on a forced place insurance policy.
Right?
It's just the lender who's protected.
Right, they're protecting their asset, and then they're going to charge
you.
Then they're going to charge you for that, and it's a very high multiplier usually. Then the second thing is they can do what's called accelerate the mortgage. Accelerate the mortgage means that you have breached the contract, you have defaulted on the mortgage terms because you didn't have the house insured, and then they can say, we're calling in the note. Even if you've made your payments on time, they can say, we're calling in the note because you're not insured. So the family I'm dealing with right now, they were terrified that they were going to, because the insurance lapse is going to happen later this month, in a few days, actually, a few days from today. So they're freaking out that they're going to lose the house. And I was like, well, first of all, let's see if we could get you insurance. So we've been working very closely with Brightway, Ross's team, who've done excellent, trying to figure out what's going on. Let me tell you, I know we talk about Ross all the time, but he is really good at what he does. His whole team. I forgot to mention about the potted plants in the back of the yard. I told him the other issues that the insurance company was complaining about, but not the potted plants. And Ross's right-hand man, Rodolfo, he calls you up like 15 minutes later. Hey, Jim, I just did a Google Map search. Are there a bunch of potted plants in the backyard? Because that's not good. And I'm like, actually, yeah. And, just very detail oriented over there. So then we checked everything out.
What's the risk of is it just a hazard? Like when you're walking through, it's a personal injury hazard?
I think it's two things. I don't know because, the insurance company isn't communicating with us too much. And I didn't get to talk to Rodolfo in detail about it because everything was happening so fast. But I think it's two things, Mike. When the insurance company went out there to look at the house, they asked if they had any kind of licensing for the plants in the backyard because they assumed it was like a nursery.
Some sort of commercial enterprise.
Even though there weren't any structures over the plants, it was just a bunch of plants lined up in pots, right? So there wasn't like any shading or anything like that or irrigation. So I think part of it might have not been licensed properly, but I think the other thing was more of a hurricane hazard. Like if those things got picked up in the wind, it would be pounding the house, like cannonballs.
Right.
So anyway, then I talked to Ross a little deeper, and then he goes, hey, is the house being used right now? Since it's a probate estate deal, is the house being used? I go, no, it's unoccupied. He goes, oh, I think we're going to be able to get an insurance policy for him. I go, that'll satisfy the lender? He goes, yeah. So on Monday, I'm hoping to get really great news for the homeowners that we're going to have a policy that's going to work and not have the lapse. and we'll see what happens on Monday. So I got my fingers crossed. But this is real deal stuff right now.
Yeah.
This isn't like just us talking about, hey, this is in the news. It's happening to people all the time.
I mean, it's a good example, Jim, of like you have to know what you don't know. And so homeowners in that situation dealing with the probate estate situation, they might just put their head in the sand and just like, oh, we can't do anything. Like, oh, this is all just it's gonna foreclose, right? And they got nothing. So that foreclosure in that scenario is a possibility, right? But that's several steps down the line. But how easy is it to just rely on somebody who actually knows the situation and what they make one phone call and you got the insurance lined up. If that didn't work out, you got Krasker's office lined up. You could sell the home. I mean, there's a lot of options in that scenario. You don't have to just do nothing.
And here's the other thing I learned. I learn stuff all the time. That's what I love about this profession. One of the things I learned is, and I had to ask this question. I don't know what made me ask it, but I'm glad I did. Citizens will take you. If you have a lapse in insurance, though, I asked Ross, if you have a lapse in insurance, will you still be able to get Citizens if your insurance policy lapsed? So Ross said he had to check. He wasn't sure at the time, but it was either 30, you're okay, but your grace period is 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a policy after 45 days, let's say, you might not even be able to get Citizens. So this is like real deal stuff you got to deal with, right? So you can't just stick your head in the hole and hope everything's going to be okay, because it's not. Okay. So if you have any questions like this, you got to give us a call. We'll get you the answers. We're one phone call away, 888-973-7828, and go to floridatalkrealestate.com. We've got Mike here to answer like questions about how lenders handle things in general, not on specific mortgages, and we've got Ross, of course, who's the expert at trying to get the policies that you need. Right. And then, and then we try to help you, me as the host of the show, try to guide you to get to the right people to get the answers that you want.
I feel like,
I don't think that the family would even thought about asking about a time lapse in the policy.
Yeah.
So now that we know that, we have a deadline that we got to get this done by,
And I think, we kind of started this talking about, you had mentioned that the reinsurance policy, and I don't know, a few more minutes, but the reinsurance, we're basically going to try and force the hand of the legislators. What do they want the legislators to do? They want protections for the insurance. They want protection against claims, right? Fraudulent claims and contractors and lawyers. Like, what are they looking for exactly?
They're, from what very basically, now this is very rudimentary, highest points of the mountains hit, and that's it. But the two main things, Mike, you're right about one of them, is stop the fraud. Whatever you have to do to stop the fraud in order to contain the fraudulent activity, that's number one. Number two, you just had a building collapse. And by the way, Sunny Isles, I should have mentioned this part of the news since we're talking about this. They just settled for $997 million, the Sunny Isle condo people, where the building collapsed and 97 people got killed.
That was terrible.
They just settled for $1 billion, right? So that's $1 billion insurance claim. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Right? One place, right? So the state government, the Florida government did nothing about dealing with the buildings. And what we talked about last week on the show, Mike, was there's 1.3 million condos in the state of Florida, and 900,000 of them are 30 years or older. And we don't have any uniform things to make sure those buildings are going to be still standing around. So they want those two things at a minimum. Those are the two main things, right?
Wow. They were pushing for, I think one of the things was the actual cash value or used value on a roof, for example, right? Like that was one of the things they think. I don't really know how that's. It seems like you putting a piece of gum on, right? Like the dam that's leaking water, but insuring your roof for a used value. So if you have a roof claim, they're only going to pay you, a few thousand instead of replacing the roof.
Yeah, and now they just want to do it like if you have a 30-year roof and it's 15 years old, they're going to give you half the cost of the roof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they wanted. That's one of the ideas. I'm getting a thing from my friend Jim who corrected me. Thank you, Jim. He said that it's Surfside, not Sunny Isles. So sorry about that. The Surfside condo. So thank you.
We all bought in. It sounded good. We're like, yeah. Sunny Isles sounds good.
And I owe you a phone call, Jim. So anyway, sorry about that. Surfside. So you got to keep an eye on insurance. And if you're buying a new home, just remember something else. Sometimes it might be better if you're really worried about the insurance thing. If you're going to buy a used home, buy a 2016 home or a 2018 home and maybe it'll cost you a little bit more money, but you're going to save in the long run because those kind of homes aren't going to be hit as bad. Even today, if you buy a brand new home, Mike, when people are buying brand new homes from you, isn't the insurance policies like ridiculously low compared to like ridiculously low, right?
I don't know about ridiculous, but probably half or better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if a new policy, maybe it's $3,500 or maybe $4,000, you might be able to, on a brand new construction, built in the last couple of years. Yeah. Half of that.
Yeah. So that's something to think about just to try to keep your budget if you're worried about that insurance stuff. Hey, let's go ahead and take a break, Johnny. And then on the flip side, what I'd like to talk about is we're going to talk a little bit about the luxury market. Okay. Cool. And I saw an article that got me thinking about something I did earlier this week. And then I was like, hey, let's just do a little thing about that. So we're going to talk about the luxury market in Palm Beach County.
Excellent. And if you want to jump in, be a part of it, don't be shy. You can dial in 877-927-6969. Jim and Theo line you up. You make the call. We'll take that call. Always remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, also FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. It's your one-stop real estate shop. Not only a great place for your access point, your entry point for the entire team, but right there at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, you'll see the hotline, 888-973-7828. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's answered by a live body. We'll get you connected and get you to the pros, and get you feeling comfortable about who you're dealing with, so we can make sure that you're doing right by yourself, your family. Right decisions are made when you are properly informed, and you got to go to people that are not only good at what they do, great at what they do, which is why I want to send you to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. 4 minutes from now, we get back at it. Another hour for you remaining on a Saturday. Count them up, 2 hours of infotainment. We've knocked out the first half, second half coming for you. Thanks for being with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.
Because your pets are pretty lonely when you're gone. Tell your smart device to play Real Radio 92.1 on iHeartRadio.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
Going to be another beautiful afternoon here in South Florida. I'm CBS 12 track meteorologist Zach Cody. Only a 20% chance of a straight shower storm as we continue throughout our day towards the evening hours. Daytime highs, hot today. Anywhere from the mid to upper 80s at the coast to the lower 90s inland.
This spring, let Audible bring a smile with comedy, sci-fi, thrillers, or whatever you love listening to. From audiobooks to exclusive originals to podcasts, find it all on Audible. Sign up and start free at audible.com.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
What if I told you that there was a breakthrough technology for treating erectile dysfunction that can eliminate ED? This is Jeff for the Atlantic Men's Clinic, and I'm not going to tell you that because despite what some groups claim in their ads, the truth is there's no such thing. What they're talking about is acoustic wave therapy, and it's been used to treat ED for many years. In fact, we've used it in our practice since 2018. And while wave therapy is useful for some ED cases, it's not a miracle cure. And you could spend a lot of money with those other groups finding that out. At the Atlantic Men's Clinic, we offer many ED treatments, including wave therapy. We've successfully treated thousands of men with protocols that have success rates as high as 90%. And we can find the right treatment for you. You could even have great sex the day after your appointment. So don't be fooled. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in our office, your visit is free. Call us today at 877-455-7300 or go to AtlanticMen'sClinic.com.
This is WZZR FM, West Palm Beach, Real Radio 92.1, powered by the law offices of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Been in an accident? Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's it. Toll free, 877-927-6969. If you dial it, Jimothy's going to answer. Line you up. You make that call. We'll take that call with your questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. And of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, I get it. You can always go to floridatalkrealestate.com. Call the hotline, 888-973-7828. A couple of great ways to get in touch with the entire team. Your one-stop real estate shop. It's floridatalkrealestate.com. Also on Facebook, live every Saturday. Thanks for being with us. YouTube as well. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on the radio. That's 92.1 and 101.7 and worldwide with your free download. That's the iHeartRadio app. And look for us there on Real Radio 92.1. Johnny Z, that's me. Good morning, Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. How are you, buddy?
Yep. Still hanging in there.
Good. Glad to hear that. And of course, Jimmy D's with us. That's Jim DePola. He runs a top producing Keller Williams team. Which one, Johnny C? Well, it's the Florida Home Pros. If you don't know, now you know. Jimmy D, how you be?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Johnny. And don't forget to go to the open house today. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 205 Dove, D-O-V-E Circle in Royal Palm Beach. Natalie will be there from 10 to 12, so go say hello. Check out the house. It's a beautiful, fully renovated 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage with a large fenced-in yacht in a great neighborhood with great schools and a park nearby. So go check out that property, 205 Dove Circle in Royal
Is that
Palm
an
Beach.
HOA community or there's no
No
HOA there?
HOA. No
Oh.
HOA in that community. It's awesome.
You do have to deal with the village a little bit, but as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you don't get any notices on your door.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got you. The village, the Royal Palm, they'll drive around, and if you haven't cut your grass in a few weeks, they'll let you know about it.
Yeah, or like your sidewalks is too moldy or dirty, or you have your trash cans in the wrong place. Like the village is specific about a few things, but it's I've been in that neighborhood for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm probably like the least savory house in the neighborhood for sure. And I don't know. I've only dealt with them a couple times.
Yeah,
they said they won't take my meth lab.
I think you'd be all right.
Meth labs are no good.
I kept on thinking when you were talking about the home with the potted plants, I'm thinking like, are they have some sort of growing operation happening there? But it sounds like it was just normal.
No, just normal regular plants. Yeah, they were just doing a favor for a neighbor. Basically, that's what it was. The woman that owned the place did a nice favor for a neighbor. That's pretty much what it was. So I wanted to talk to you about luxury market. Is focusing mostly right now just on Palm Beach County because I've been doing a lot of research on these
Johnny's neighborhood.
I'm sorry, which is Johnny's neighborhood. That's right.
Yeah. Did you know you were in the luxury market, Johnny?
Yeah, I have been for years now, Mike.
Absolutely,
you did my last one, you know.
And I've been focusing on 4 neighborhoods to help. What I'm doing right now is helping people, developers or builders, find lots that they could use to build new homes on. And there's 4 neighborhoods I'm focused on. There's one in Boca, one in West Palm, one in Palm Beach Gardens, and one in Jupiter. And I went out to the Boca one with one of my guys that used to be on an old radio show. Do you remember Derek from Ross Brothers Construction Contractors? Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
Yep. Shout out, Derek. What's up, brother?
What's up, buddy?
And Derek has been doing great over the last couple of years, and he's turned into a really luxury renovator. The stuff he does is just amazing. I just went out to a place in the same neighborhood that I'm going to be talking about in Boca, where he just renovated a Frank Lloyd Wright inspired house, and he just did a fabulous renovation, 7-figure renovation on the house, 7 figures, and he did excellent. And now he's looking to build homes, right, where he wants to build a Ross Brothers home. So I'm going to be hopefully helping him find a lot that he could build in. So before we get into that, because I'm going to talk about why I picked these neighborhoods, let's talk about Ivana Trump for a second. So a family bought a property from Ivana Trump back in 2014, so 8 years ago, and they paid $16.6 million for the property. Okay, so they bought it from Ivana for $16.6 million in 2014. Now this is a 12,000 square foot estate. It has 9 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms. Oh, sorry about that, 9.5 bathrooms. Can't forget about the half. It was built in 1926. It's on a 3/4 acre lot. It's got oceanfront land across the street from the property, right? So really, really nice home. $16.6 million in 2014. It just sold last week.
Well, hold on.
So
we were supposed to guess. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. So you could either guess how much equity it's grown over time over that 8 years, or you could guess the purchase price. What do you think the purchase price for this house was this week?
So I want to say the value since 2014 it's somewhere between double and triple. So it's a 2.5. I would say 2.5 times. So would you say they bought it for 16?
Let's just round it off to 17.
Okay, so 7. Yeah, so
40, I was going to say she sold it for 46.
40. I was going to say 40, 41.
41. What do you think, Johnny?
46.
72.9 million.
Oh.
400% increase in 8 years. So that means every year the property values roughly, I'm doing rough math here, it's not exact, 50% a year over the 8 years. 50%.
It's
Do you
so
think
crazy.
do you think her name has anything to do with
Nope.
that sale price?
Because she sold it at 16, right?
Yeah, she sold it in 2014, and she didn't actually even. I
But
don't know
there's
this
a
for
tie
sure.
to it. Like I feel like
Yeah.
sometime when there's a little bit of, and I don't, it's not a huge celebrity, but it's a Trump name, right? So that's a big name, and it's only gotten bigger in the last 4 years. Do you think no difference? Like no
I
impact
don't
at
think
all?
any difference. I'm being honest with you on this one.
No, there has to be. Look how you set it up as a former Trump property, right? Or on a,
Well, I guess that's going to be a matter of opinion. I don't think so, but I can understand the point you guys are making too. Why would they mention it if she sold the house 8 years ago? Why are they starting off with her?
Because there's
You know
a
what I mean?
value
Which I
to
totally
it.
get that part.
I think there's, I don't know if it's I don't think it's 20 million. I don't even know if it's 10 million, but I think there's a value to it used to be owned by.
Well, here's the
I
other.
mean, who has that kind of money, and are they going to be influenced by that?
Well, here's
particular thing?
Well, who has the money? The people that sold it was a fashion designer and her businessman husband, right? And they owned another property down the street, and they sold that for like $9 million back in 2018. And so that's who. I don't know who bought it because it's an LLC that bought it, so I don't know who bought it. But here's the thing that's interesting, Mike. This will whet your appetite. So they bought the house for 72.9. They took out a $51 million loan from JP Morgan Chase.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a $51 million loan, right?
It's a little bit above the conforming limit.
Yeah, that's a little above, right?
That's
So
a jumbo.
I just thought that was kind of interesting. 400% increase in 8 years.
Wow.
Right now, speaking of that, I just went and showed Derek, the contractor, properties in Boca. Now, this neighborhood in Boca is just north of Meisner Park, and it's east of Federal Highway, but it goes all the way to the Intercoastal. And there's that little pocket of homes there, and they were all built basically in the 1950s and 60s, and they're like, 1,300 to 2,000 square foot homes built in the 1950s and 60s.
Is that a historic area?
I'm sorry?
Is that a label like historic?
No, as far as I know, there's no historic designation over there. Now, the neighborhood I'm looking at, West Palm, they have historic homes over there. Okay, so it depends on which house. You can't just like tear down houses willy-nilly in that area. But in this area, I haven't seen anything that looks historic yet. When I drove the neighborhood pretty good.
Yeah,
but
I know like in like a old Northwood, there's a bunch of homes that we've seen where like, man,
Mm-hmm.
it's too bad this is historic because that'd be a great tear down. That'd be a great tear down, but they just kind of handcuffed.
Yeah, for sure. So in this neighborhood, a year and a half ago, people were buying the lots or the houses, if you will, for about 800,000 to maybe 1 million, 1.1 million, and then tearing them down and putting houses, rebuilding the houses with modern architecture, total bling bling houses. And the ones that aren't on the water, we're not talking about waterfront because that's like triple to quadruple what I'm talking about right now. So they would buy the lot from 800 to $1 million. They tear it down, and then they build a 3,500 to 5,500 square foot house to replace it. And they'd be putting them on the market for $3.5 million to $5 million, right? So they're buying the land basically for $1 million and putting a $5 million house on it. So it's amazing when you drive through this neighborhood what's happening over there. There are so many houses that are in the middle of either being torn down or the lot's cleared and they're starting to break ground on the new homes. And all of these brand new, spanking brand new mega mansions, or I should call them McMansions, right? They're about 5,000 square feet. They're super bling blingy. A lot of them are very modern architecture. Many of the houses over there, I noticed, Derek pointed this out to me, are not being built with roof trusses. They use other types of roof structures, more like flat roofs. And the reason why they're doing that is because it's very hard to get materials for the trusses. So there's a supply chain problem. So it makes it easier if they do these other types of roof. But these flatter roofs are also better for hurricane, for to not be ripped off during hurricanes. So it gives a double whammy benefit. And it's just very, very interesting what's going on over there. There's the neighborhood in West Palm. I know of a guy that was selling his house for sale by owner. I almost got the listing, but he really wanted to sell the house on his own. He bought the house in 2019 for $490,000 in 2019. He didn't touch the house. It was a 1950s ranch home, not on the water, in West Palm in this neighborhood called Soso. And they bought it for $490,000 in 2019. And he just sold it 2.5 years later for $1.4 million.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. Now, probably the people that bought that house are going to be tearing it down and put another McMansion there. That's probably what's going to happen to that house. It's going to be a tear down.
Is that too much for that neighborhood at this point, or is that
nope. Neighborhood? Because I have a listing over there now. We're just haven't ready to put it on the market yet. Over in that neighborhood, people are paying between 900,000 to 1.5 million just to tear down the house so they can put the new house on it. So what's the difference in the price in the lots? Because we're talking about non-waterfront, right?
Right.
Since they're all non-waterfront, what the difference is how close you are to federal versus the intercoastal, right? Because there's a few block difference there. And the second thing is, how big is the lot? And how big of a house can you put on it?
Right.
So if you're on a 0.13 acre lot versus a 0.23 acre lot, the 0.23 obviously is going to be way more valuable because you could put a bigger house on the property, assuming that the setbacks and easements and all that are equal. So what would used to be selling, remember I told you in the Boca neighborhood, they were selling between 800 and 1.1 roughly back in the day. Well, those days are over. Now you're looking at 1.1 to 1.5 for those same houses. So even the tear downs are seeing 30% appreciation of the land, right, over this time. It's pretty crazy.
It is.
Yeah. And
is that pretty universal though? Like are all plots of land kind of consistently going up considerably?
Not all the time. They are now. You mean do they all rise equally, or do they all rise
just
matter
in
what?
the last couple of years? Like I would imagine,
Yes.
with the housing boom that we've been going through, I would think that land has become even that much more valuable.
Well, absolutely, but it depends on. Obviously, I know it sounds silly, but location, right?
Of course.
So I remember when Krasker Law, Paul Krasker, had asked me at one point to go out and drive I don't know, it was 50 homes or 70 homes in 4 counties, because he was trying to see if there was a good real estate transaction deal he could do. So he had me go out and bird dog these 50 something properties for him. And a lot of them were in Okeechobee County and out in the Lake Okeechobee area in Okeechobee County. They were all far flung. And I'm driving all over these places, and they were all vacant lots, Mike. There's tons of vacant lots everywhere.
What was he looking for?
Bundling. See, he had an opportunity to do a bundle buy or something, and then he wanted to see if it was valuable enough to buy it and see what he could do with it afterwards. Okay. There was no way to make money on those lots. It was so undeveloped out there. It would take decades for that stuff to become super valuable. So it also depends on the location. So the stuff in the acreage, right, Mike? You know that area pretty well.
Yep.
Back in the day, you could buy those lots. I remember those lots, acre and a quarter lots, roughly, going for $35,000. 20 years ago.
Not even that long ago. That was about the price back in 2012, 2011, 2012, kind of when the market fell out. I think they got as low as into the 30s, maybe 40s for those lots. And of course now like to answer Johnny's question. So the lots out in the acreage now, what are they going for, Jim? 150 to 200,000.
150 to 200 is the average, depending on if the lot's dry or not, and a couple other things. But yeah.
What does that mean? Lots dry.
So some of the lots, you may be even required to put a pond in for drainage. That happens sometimes. So that's a big thing out there. Some people don't want the pond, and some like the pond, but sometimes it's needed. It's mandatory. And then some of them are high enough and dry enough where you don't have to worry about that as much.
Gotcha.
So
kind of the natural elevation on the lot before you take out trees and stuff, right? Which is always a big consideration as far as like how much work has to be done before you can build on it.
So like if you're walking the lot, one of the easy signs to see if it's a wet lot or not, if you think it's going to be pretty wet or not, is like you look for plants that grow there that would be from wetness, like Melaleuca plants. Melaleuca love water.
I thought you were just going to say when you walk the lot, just do it barefoot. And
if you hear squishy sounds, you have to get a pond, right?
Well, there's mangroves everywhere, probably.
Yeah, the mangroves there. Yeah. So anyway, does
it matter? Guys, one more question.
Sure.
Does it go up considerably if it's already connected to city water?
Yeah, I think those are premium lots.
Yes,
out here, you'll see a lot of advertising say city water optional. Right. So
like it's kind of it's in place if you want to finish the rest of the house.
Exactly. If you want to connect to it, it's a possibility.
Because I know in a lot of sections out there, like there's just streets where you essentially have to get every homeowner on board in order for that to happen, don't you?
Yeah, most of this area is not connected. We're mostly still on well and septic for the acreage and for Loxahatchee. But we're coming up. They just did they got a project now where they're redoing the dirt roads with that recycled asphalt, Johnny. So it's not quite an asphalt road, but it's like halfway between. So they got a project going on to do that.
Right. It's like our new AstroTurf. Not quite grass, not quite AstroTurf.
I'll be curious how long it lasts, like before they have to come out and like start repairing potholes and what that's going to look like over the next 5 years or so. So
it will be interesting.
It's an upgrade from the dirt road.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Less grading, right?
Yeah, it's going to be that whole area. It's going to look so different. 10 years from now, when you live out, west by the acreage and Loxahatchee Groves and all that stuff out there, you're not even going to have to come east, because right now, all those people, when they want to do real shopping or they want to do real entertainment stuff, they're going east of 441 for sure, usually, right? To do, like, if they want to go to the mall or catch a movie, or if they want to go to the Kravis Center or they go to the beach, all the dining and entertainment, it's all ECCs. But soon, 10 years from now, you're not going to have to go out there because it's all going to be built up. They already started putting in the colleges, right? What college is out there, Mike? I think it's Palm Beach State College has already got a campus out there.
It is, yeah.
I think FAU has a campus out there. It's going to be out there. The hospitals are putting in, like the Cleveland Clinic type of deals are going out there. Everybody is like gearing out, saying this is going to be a major metropolitan area on its own, not the backwoods anymore.
I can't wait for everybody that lives east of that, but not far enough. Can't wait for that day. But the problem is they're all still going to have to go east to get to the Turnpike and or 95 for employment. But it will eliminate a lot of that traffic and congestion for things like shopping, entertainment, etc.
But the medical complexes, the educational complexes, that kind of stuff, that can make the commute for a whole bunch of people that are going to be employed in those kind of facilities are going to love the close commute. The other thing I'm going to find very interesting, and I have to do more research on this, but I saw about 6 weeks ago an article that said, remember that whole thing where they were worried about the brain cancer cluster out in the the acreage area general?
Yeah.
Johnny, I know you're very familiar with it because you were very sensitive at the time about not living there when we were trying to help you buy your house. So that was about 9 years ago, I guess, 10 years ago.
Still pretty sensitive to it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, when you have Johnny's brain capacity, you can't afford to lose any.
You can't lose one brain cell, not one. Dang, brain cell. Don't lose it.
Absolutely.
But
every sip of a cocktail, I'm like, should I?
I know, right? What the hell? So here's the thing. Back then, FHA required that you had to sign a disclosure. If you were selling, as you were a realtor, you had to have the buyers sign a disclosure, knew that there might be a risk out there. And it was a requirement for FHA to have that form filled out. I used to disclose even after it wasn't required anymore, because after a while they stopped that requirement, because after all these investigations and tests and private attorneys, like big time attorneys, like the Eric Brockovich group and everything, they all came down, they didn't get any results that were
nothing definitive,
litigatable, right? That you couldn't sue people over. But I read about 6 weeks ago that one of those cases are going to start moving forward. And I'm wondering how that might affect or might not affect all those communities out west, because we have all these developers out there that are already in the midst of building. We got Arden and Westlake, and we have all those other communities out there that are being built out there. It's going to be very interesting to see if that thing pops up again in our life. It's going to be very interesting to see that.
Well, I think you just touched on the reasons why it won't be a huge deal. There's just too much money. There's too much at stake, too many lives at stake. And I know, on the other side, we're talking about actual lives at stake, but it's just way too big of an impact at this point. That leash has gotten way too far to reel that thing in at this point. If there's a legit problem, they'll just have to work with it on the fly.
Yeah, and the other thing is that we haven't seen, even though they're talking about the lawsuit coming back up or litigation about that, what we haven't seen is more numbers showing that the cancer cluster numbers kept growing or continuing. We're not hearing, here's another cancer case, here's another cancer case. We're not seeing that. So it'll be very interesting to see that.
Also could just be the fact that the media is not focusing on it. They may be distracted by other things, but that's just me just throwing that out there.
Well, normally I would be back, because I used to be one of those guys. I would normally be very defensive about that and tell you they were crazy, blah, blah, blah. If something like that happened, we would know. But I also know that the newspaper industry down here has like 1/6 of the reporters that they used to have covering the same area. So you're probably right. There's a good chance that they just don't know because they're not there anymore. There's a reason why they call us the fourth estate. We were there to make sure, we were there to read all the documents so you don't have time to read. We're the ones that go to City Hall, read all this stuff, and then report back to you what's happening at the meetings, so that you don't have to go.
And too much of the consumable news is being controlled by too few. So
absolutely,
that can be dictated based on whatever preference they have, which is never a good thing.
Totally agree. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a break. On the flip side, I want to wrap up the show with two things. Number one, I want to talk about the effects of low inventory. There's two things. I had a real life experience really recently going over an appraisal. Wanted to talk about low inventory. And the other thing we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about low inventory. That's it. So we're talking about low inventory coming back.
All right, perfect. We got Natalie Medina Rauch out right now until noon today at an open house, Royal Palm Beach. If you're interested in a 3-2 that sounds like it is a pretty Mac Daddy. The descriptions we've heard this morning are as this thing's been touched over the last couple of years pretty tremendously. 205 Dove Circle, that's DOVE, like the bird. They're in the Willows and Royal Palm Beach. She's out there until noon. Again, 205 Dove Circle. Get that information. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Florida Talk Real Estate is also a .com. We call it your one-stop real estate shop, and it's real simple. The reason we call it that is because you get access to a team of pros established. They're very good at what they do, and you can have access to the entire team. It's easy. Go to floridatalkrealestate.com. I know student loan debt has been kind of quieted lately, but that is going to be a huge issue once again. If you're going to be dealing with any kind of eviction type situations, and I'm talking about as a homeowner where foreclosure may be dooming on you, don't bury your head in the sand. Reach out to a team of pros. There's options for you as long as you don't wait too long. Take advantage of the options and the expertise through every one of the members of Florida Talk Real Estate. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. We're back 4 minutes from now. Great to have you with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate. I think I said it a couple times right here on Real Radio.
I can speak clearly now.
visual aid you need for all the freaky stuff we talk about on the radio. Find it at realradio921.com.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
Going to be another beautiful afternoon here in South Florida. I'm CBS 12 Storm Track meteorologist Zach Kobe. Only a 20% chance of a stray shower storm as we continue throughout our day towards the evening hours. Daytime highs, hot today. Anywhere from the mid to upper 80s at the coast to the lower 90s inland.
This report is sponsored by Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. You wouldn't drive a car under the influence, so why would you operate a boat? The FWC wants to remind you that operating a boat while impaired is just as deadly as driving a car and carries the same penalties. Be as safe at sea as you are on land. Visit myfwc.com for more info.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
You're listening to Real Radio 92.1, and we are an iHeart radio station. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Saturday just wouldn't be Saturday without you with us here on Real Radio. Thank you for making Florida Talk Real Estate a part of your Saturday routine for however long it's been now. Great to have you with us. Facebook, streaming live, YouTube as well. That's Florida Talk Real Estate on both platforms. And, of course, on the radio, 92.1, 101.7 with your free download, your iHeartRadio app. Thank you once again, for being with us, Florida Talk Real Estate here on a Saturday. Johnny C, that's me. Good morning there, Mike Ralph, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm, my brother.
Good morning, sir. Hi.
See you as always.
Yeah.
You got big plans this weekend?
Just kind of more of the same. Just doing stuff around the house. Got the old honey-do list.
Nice. That thing never ends, does it?
No, it's interesting. It's like it's the list that keeps on listing.
Constant addition. I totally understand. Jimmy D's with us just about every Saturday we go live. In fact, I can only think of a couple over the last decade where he hasn't been with us when we're live on a Saturday. It's very rare. Jimmy D, that's Jim DePola. I've told you forever now he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. That team, it's the Florida Home Pros, y'all. Jimmy D, how you be?
I'm doing good, Johnny. Thank you. This week we found out that in April, we switched offices. We used to be in the West Palm office of Keller Williams. Now we're in the Boynton Beach office of Keller Williams, called Keller Williams Innovations is the name of this office. And it was really nice to see, because we've only been here a couple months, and we were ranked in the top 10. The team was ranked in the top 10 for production for the month of April in this whole office. So that was pretty nice recognition, and just wanted to say thank everybody for that. All the people that agreed to work with us and our staff that put everything together. Just thank you. And we're hoping to help many more people this year. Wanted to talk a little bit about low inventory, and it's kind of related to something that Mike really helped me out. And Mike, I wanted to say thank you on the air. And this just shows once again about the one-stop real estate shop team of professionals that help all our customers, whether they're working with us directly or not. If they're part of the Real Radio family and the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, everybody on the team tries to help out our customers, even if they're not the client of that, even if it's not their own client. So in this case, we had an appraisal that didn't go very well on a villa in Boynton Beach. And I was struggling to put together, because I was so stunned at the value that they put in on the appraisal. I was the listing agent, that I needed the advice of people to try to figure out how I was going to, what's called a value reconsideration. But it's basically a dispute in a way. You don't have that attitude while you're doing it, but you're saying, hey, I think the appraisal was incorrect for these reasons, and you got to justify it. You can't just say because. And so I talked to a bunch of appraisers I know. I talked to Mike, from the perspective of the lender, and Mike actually reviewed the appraisal report for me. Thank you so much for doing that. It's 30 pages long. So thank you, Mike. An appraisal is 30 pages long. And then Mike actually, I'm sorry. And then Mike actually went out and talked to a couple of his appraisers from his company that aren't related to this deal, just to get some insight of overview, not the specific house, but like how appraisers think and how they justify the numbers. And I learned a lot. I'm pretty good at pricing the houses, so to come in so low was very surprising to me. We put together a package that I felt is pretty strong. But here's the thing I found interesting. In the appraisal report, and this gets back to the low inventory part of it. In the appraisal report, they said that the market conditions and the sales conditions were stable. And they have a choice of either be declining, inclining, or stable. And they chose stable. But they also put in the appraisal report that as of right now, there are 0 active homes available in this area that they mapped out, which they had to make larger than they normally would because there were so few sales to use. They had to widen the search, the appraiser did, in order to get the right pool of houses. And they still didn't have any active properties, but he said that the market conditions were stable. Now, when
pretty
you
stable if nothing's selling.
Right, because there's nothing for sale, right? So what one of the things that I know for proof, anecdotal proof, not proof, that it's not a quote stable market, is that when we put that house on the market, this villa on the market, in 72 hours, I think we had 93 showings. The owner for the property called us live on the show and said that he went to a hotel because he didn't want his house was being showed so much. And we had 90 something showings in 3 days, and we had 19 offers on Monday. We put the house on the market on a Thursday. That's not a market condition, stable market condition. 19 offers, 100 showings in 3 days. I'm sorry. The other thing we found out is one of the houses sold in, remember we talked about Ivana Trump's house in the last segment? Well, here's like a mini Ivana Trump thing. We found a property in the neighborhood that sold in August of 2020, and it sold for $160,000, and then it sold this month again, okay, for $299,000. And when I looked at the old listing compared to the current listing that just closed, there was very minimal amount done to the house. Maybe a paint job on the inside, and maybe they changed some carpeting somewhere, and that's it.
Wow.
And the house went from 160 to 299. But the appraisal didn't include any sales. Out of the 6 comps they used, only 2 of them were in this year. And the other 4 houses they used closed in October to August of last year. So 6 months to 9 months old comps. But he didn't give any value. The appraiser gave no extra value for appreciation over that time. So if something sold in August 2021, there's no reason to have any expectation that that house is not worth more. The house is worth more today, unless there's something structurally wrong with the house. Just from appreciation that rising tides lift all boats. So we had to go through that. And then the other thing I noticed was the months of available inventory in this neighborhood is 0.67. So that means if no other sales went on the market in the neighborhood, and there aren't any, but if none in the neighborhood, it would take 0.67 months in order to sell all the inventory. That's not a stable market. That's an inclining market. Those are all factors showing inclining market. So I put those stats together. Thank you, Mike, for some of the help. And we put that together with some other issues, and we're trying to
you waiting
deal
the
with
results still?
I'm sorry?
Did you get a response?
No, I just turned the report in yesterday, so hopefully Monday, Tuesday we'll find out, and we'll
Did you ever reach out to AJ with Touchstone to see?
Well, I can't talk to you about everybody I talked to about this.
All right, very good.
Okay,
Totally
good question, though. Good question, Donnie. Okay.
Well, he's been on the show, so he's mindful. I'm mindful of him, but I totally understand.
And this is a good demonstration of the difference between people who really know what they're doing and kind of the people who don't have a lot of experience. Like Jim, you might be surprised, but this isn't the first appraisal that's come in low in a deal. I'm not involved in that deal, right? But especially this market, the appraisers can't keep up with the way the market's going. So you get these offers that are well above ask that don't really care about the appraised value, and so you see values come in low, but sometimes it is important, especially if it comes in way lower and there's a financed buyer involved. And the default approach is, that appraiser doesn't know what he's doing, right? Like that how many times have I heard that from listing agents, right? Your appraisers suck, right? Like they just don't know the market, blah blah blah. And I said, listen, that may be the case. I tend to give appraisers the benefit of the doubt, but if there's a case to be made, let's make a legitimate case. Let's put something together that the appraiser can actually review and said, hey, these people may have something here, right? And depending on the appraiser, you might get a reconsideration. Some of them are very steadfast in their initial assessment, but you can't go to them with nonsense, right, Jim? You can't just say, oh, look at these sales. Like this one closed at 350, right? You can't do that. You have to say, yes, here's the comps you used. Here's why the adjustments you made are not, either too much adjustment or not enough adjustment compared to our home. And, you have to approach it that way.
And I always warn everybody that, there's like a 2% chance that you're going to get movement from the appraiser, because you usually don't win these arguments. However, I have a pretty good track record on it. I'm not trying to jinx myself right now, so I hope it continues. But, at least we go the extra effort to make it happen.
Well, especially if you're presenting them with information that they weren't armed with when they made their their initial assessment of the value. If you present information that's valuable that they didn't have, you can get success, right?
Well, hopefully, sometimes they're a stick in the mud and they just want to be right for right's sakes. Other ones are open-minded. It's like, hey, I never thought about that. Like, for example,
That's what
they
makes it
use
depend
the
on the
comp.
appraiser. Yeah.
They use the comp for 299 that I was talking about, right? But I went the extra effort and went back and checked that comp sold for 160 21 months earlier. So in 21 months, the house increased 87% was the exact number, right? It increased 80% of value over 21 months. So we are now, that house closed in, that house, our house, based on the value of that other home, could be worth in the 300 value if you went that way, but I don't really think you could use the math that way. But I think that our house is probably worth 10 to 15% more than's reflected in this appraisal. But we actually gave them, so I didn't just say we're in an inclining market. I gave them a real life example. It says, like, for example, take a look at this house. It just sold this month for $299, and I called the buyer's agent to make sure what the appraisal was. And I found out it did appraise at $299, and I put that in the report. And then I said, but 21 months earlier, it sold for $160. That's a clear sign that this is an inclining market because the unit has not been significantly upgraded during that time. So the only thing that changed was time.
If you get results from a well-considered, well-put-together, thoughtful reconsideration of value request, but you never know who you're dealing with on the other end. Johnny, we had an appraisal one time, new construction. The appraiser missed the bedroom somehow, and the builder's like, and the appraisal came in a little bit low, and the builder's like, this is a 3-bedroom, it's a 3-2, not a 2-2. I go to the appraiser and I'm like, hey, I think they're saying it's a 3-bedroom. He's like, Mike, it's not a 3-bedroom. I was out to the house. What are you talking about? And I'm like, well, the builder's insisting. Like, how? So he goes back out for a site visit. Oh, he's like, oh, I didn't see that one down the hallway on the right or whatever. And then guess what? He refused to change his value. Right? So he missed the bedroom and then came back. He's like, and he justified it. He's like, no, but I gave a square footage, blah, 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 blah. Right?
And that's what bummed me out about the appraisal on this one, Mike, is that they adjusted for the amount of bedrooms on the comps. So and ours was a 2-bedroom, and sometimes they were using a 3-bedroom. So what they did is they said that having an extra bedroom was worth $5,000 more, right? And ours had a garage, and many of the comps that they used didn't have a garage. So they said, because you have a garage, your garage is worth $5,000 in value. So if the other house had a garage, it would be worth $5,000 more, right? But then they also took the square footage and said, well, your house is 300 square feet smaller than the other house, so we're going to take off adjustments for that, recalculate the square footage. But I'm like, well, all you did was you converted the garage into a bedroom on the calculations, and now you're also taking off for the living square feet, which I didn't feel was very fair. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting, but this just shows you how crazy low the inventory is. In Palm Beach County, the inventory is 1.2 months for single family homes in the whole county, but this particular neighborhood is half of that at 0.67. So 1.2 months isn't even like the lowest in the area. It's just the average for the whole county.
What is so the open house today? What does that neighborhood look like as far as inventory? Are things selling there? Is it
selling? They're selling very fast, but a lot of houses are going on the market. So what you're going to see is as long as you don't put in per square foot price or pool or no pool, but just the whole neighborhood, you're going to see 15 or so properties active in all sizes and price range, and you're going to see like 20 to 30 pendings and like 10 actives roughly and 20 pendings is what you see in that neighborhood.
It's a really desirable neck of the woods, right?
It's a churn and burn neighborhood right now because some of the families are moving out so they can upsize or downsize, and then other families that are trying to get in as first-time home buyers and like start their family in an affordable area, they're going there because they have good schools and it's a good area. The parks are there. You're right on the verge of Wellington. Royal Palm's a good area anyway. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. So, but getting back to the inventory, let me tell you about one of the reasons what Canada's doing about inventory. I think this is very fascinating how Canada is dealing with the same problems we're having here.
I love this move they made.
Well, the first thing they did is for 2 years, and I checked it again this week just to make sure that I read it right the first time. I talked about it last week. But for the next 2 years, no foreigners are allowed to buy in Canada so that they can cool off this, quote, housing market. So there's a 2-year ban for any foreign home buying. And also, if you're a Canadian or not a Canadian and you buy a house and you sell it within before 1 year, you get a tax hit. You get a tax penalty for only keeping the house 1 year. So that's, to me, that's a flipping protection,
right?
A flipping penalty.
I don't know if I care for that aspect, but I like the aspect of we're going to keep foreign dollars out for a minute to cool the market. And I like to think that there's a layer where we're trying to help out, people in our country to get an advantage to try to get into a home.
Yep. So that I thought that what Canada's doing is very, very interesting. And then this shows you one of the reasons why our inventory is so low. Okay. We've already saw the iBuying programs come in and get crushed like little bugs, right? We've seen Zillow go down there and they lost hundreds of $1 million. And I don't remember the other ones, Open Door and Redfin and all those companies. They lost so much money in their iBuying programs. One of them lost over $1 billion, I remember, right? Most of them lost hundreds of millions. And then what did Zillow do with all the houses that they couldn't sell because they overpaid for them? They didn't even sell them on the open market. They sold them to an institutional investors that were buying bulk homes. Well, those were all like investment firms related to real estate. Now we're seeing a new trend. Financial firms, might be the end of the world right now, okay? Financial firms now are getting into the real estate investing hot. And Goldman Sachs, which traditionally doesn't get involved in real estate.
You mean the actual home?
Just bought a whole community of homes. They paid $45 million.
It's like 87 homes. We talked about it last week, too.
Yep, 87 homes. They bought 87 homes for $45 million in Brevard County in Palm Bay. Now, one thing I read that I didn't read before, Johnny, in the more recent stories, is that this community was a rental community anyway. It wasn't like single-family homeowners. It was already a rental community of single-family homes. But what makes this interesting is now you have like the Wall Streeters becoming real estate people now. Not the stocks about real estate, but actually owning real estate.
They've certainly been involved with mortgage-backed securities since they've existed, right? They may
right.
Some of them may have even invented the what was it? The default swap, the credit default swap.
Credit default swap.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting trend. So we're actually going opposite of Canada. What we're doing is like we're just letting the investors come in and buy whatever they want, which is creating more constricted inventory for regular people.
Listen, I'll give credit to Canada trying to do something, but they're way behind. I mean, their market is crazier than ours is, and so this feels like a stopgap measure. Like what where were they 5 years ago with some of these things? Because it's out of control up there as much as it is here.
Mike, we've only got less than 2 minutes, so
all right.
Johnny, just mention about the open house, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody.
Beautiful. So again, you can get this information, Florida Talk Real Estate, on our Facebook page there. But Natalie Medina Rao is out for another hour or so. 205 Dove Circle. That's like the bird, Dove Circle. That's Royal Palm Beach in the Willows, right near Royal Palm Beach High School. If you're not familiar with the neighborhood, you're going to be taking Okeechobee Boulevard out west, just past 441. You'll make a left on Wildcat, and then I'm sure Natalie's going to have some signage to drive you on in there. That's 205 Dove Circle, and again, she's there until noon. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of traffic through there, as we've noted. Very highly desirable area. The neighborhood's good, and it sounds like the price is absolutely for somebody that's looking to get into a great spot. But you better act quickly because I think this one's going to go fast. She's out again until noon. Florida Talk Real Estate is also a .com. Remember, Facebook, YouTube, great resources for a ton of information. A bunch of videos to consume at Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. But our .com is the one-stop real estate shop. That's your access point to the entire team. Pros. You got the hotline there as well, 888-973-7828. That's answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by a live body. Get you connected to the pro that you need. And maybe you need a bunch of these members of an amazing team. We'll bounce you around between them, get all the answers that you need, lay out the roadmap so you can get it done. What is it? Well, it's whatever you're trying to do. Buy a home, sell a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. Maybe you're going to go down the foreclosure path. You got student loan debt that's mounting. It really is a remarkable resource. Share it, know it, love it, use it. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. I hope you have a great weekend, my friend.
Yep, you too. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Jimmy D, that's Jim DePolo with the Florida Home Pros team. Keller Williams Innovations. I hope you have an excellent weekend as well.
Thank you, Johnny, for everything. Have a great weekend.
And Jimothy, our producer extraordinaire, he's going to stick around for the next 4 hours. Why? Because Greek and Joe, they're going to join him. The locker room is up next. And, of course, we hope you're joining us next Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday. It's Florida Talk Real Estate. Have a great weekend. See you next weekend right here on Real Radio.